Thank you for traveling from far and near. Thank you for braving the traffic. Thank you for braving the inconvenience. Thank you for, despite the sorrows you might experience on Sunday when Arsenal does not carry the Premier League. Thank you for choosing to come here to the second edition of The View with Mo. I think you all deserve a round of applause. My name is Koye, and together with the beautiful lady by my side,
I'm Toluwana Saya.
We have been given the privilege to serve as the Masters of Ceremonies. The View with Mo is a platform where you come to experience different topical issues from people who are vast and experienced in that field. The second edition, we'll be talking about parenting in Canada, and it promises to be a ride of your life. Okay.
Thank you very much, Koye. And there's something we always do. We dance as considered the live band. So shout out to the live band. Woo! So we're going to start now. So we're going to have our first guest. So I'm going to tell you a bit about this person. So he's the first Black Councillor in Kitchener. That's the first Black Councillor, can you guys imagine? So he's a multifaceted individual, serving as a city councillor, management consultant, and keynote speaker with a wealth of experience spanning over a decade in coaching, training, and providing strategic guidance. Hailing originally from Lagos, Nigeria, Ayo has made his mission to empower enterprise-level clients to reach their grand objectives, all while championing diversity, inclusion, and cultural understanding in the workplace. Is that fantastic? Ayo's unique approach blends deep subject matter expertise, personal antidotes, and just the right touch of humor, all with the aim of dismantling barriers, fostering improved communication, and ultimately catalyzing transformative change. His unwavering passion and natural ability to connect with audiences shine brightly across his endeavors. His impressive client roster spans a diverse array of industries and includes esteemed companies such as Spotify, Canada Live, Microsoft, we need to talk about that one, Thomson Reuters, CIBC, TMX Group, and Hydro One, amongst others. Beyond his consultancy work, Ayo is a notable author, having penned 2 insightful books, Values, Culture, Period, redefining the value of values to drive business results, and Inclusive Leadership, The Immigrant's View, helping immigrants thrive and soar in your organization. Ayo boasts an impressive academic background, holding an MBA in entrepreneurship, complemented by a life coach certification. His dedication to making a difference extends to his service on several organizational boards, including immigrantnetworks.com, Leadership Waterloo Region, Expedia.co, adventureforchange.org, and Emergency Response Africa. Ayo is also a proud member of the Canadian Association of Management Consultants, embodying his commitment to professional excellence and growth. Beyond his professional pursuits, Ayo is actively involved in various boards and organizations dedicated to making a positive impact. Would you all join me as we welcome the first Black Councillor in Kitchener, Ayo Owodunni.
Great to have you here, Ayo. You are one busy fellow. As they were reading your bio, I kept wondering, okay, now I get it. You can't get a hold of this man if you try. But we are so lucky he's here today, and I think that deserves a round of applause in itself.
Thank you very much.
Welcome. So the first Black Councillor in the city of Kitchener, Ontario. How did it feel the day you knew you won that election? Just take us back to that moment.
Very interesting. When I ran to learn. The goal was not necessarily to win. You know, when I called my mentor to tell him I wanted to run, I said I wasn't sure, and he said, I'll be disappointed if you do not run. You know, as a former mayor of another city. So our strategy was run and use this as an opportunity just to learn. But I had a really great team behind me. We put together our strategy and we implemented it. So that night, I was at a board meeting when counting first started. So by the time I went home, I was in third place. And I think I only had like 100 people that had voted at that point. So I was happy. I was like, oh, 100 people even voted for me? Great. I mean, you also got to keep in mind, I'm new in the community. I'm from Nigeria. It's a largely Caucasian community. There are only 10 people that look like me, you know, when we did all our analysis. So I wasn't expecting much. So I went to bed early. I went to bed early just saying, oh, 100 people have voted, I'm happy. 4 years from now, we've made a lot of mistakes, we've learned from this, we know what works, what didn't work, we'll be ready in 4 years' time. So I went to bed. It was my wife that ran in the room around 11:30, screaming, you're in the lead, you're in the lead. So of course, I jumped out of bed, and then the next 20 minutes, because they're counted and it's loaded on the website, and it wasn't until my opponent sent me a text message saying, hey, congratulations.
Wow.
You know, that's when I was just like, whoa, I wasn't expecting it. Suddenly, like, interviews and TV and all of that just started happening between, I think it was probably like 11:45 till like 1 a.m. The calls were coming in and whatnot. And it was just a beautiful, wonderful feeling. It was a wonderful feeling.
I bet it was, and we all celebrate with you. Congratulations again. And now you said no one looked like you, or just about 10 people. Anyone hearing your story will probably think, oh, this is some time ago and you've been in Canada for a long time. So I know we spoke, but I want the audience to hear, how long have you been in Canada by the time you ran for election?
When I ran, I was 6 years in Canada. I got my citizenship 2 weeks before the cutoff for the nomination. So I only had 2 weeks to make a decision, so I decided to run.
So your citizenship came right on time?
It came right on time. We weren't expecting it for probably another year or so. It came right on time, and there was a 2-week window, so we decided to.
And we were talking backstage, and we said, well, when there's a will, there's always a way, because you believed in God, and you were saying, well, if it's God's will, and God certainly showed up with your citizenship coming right on time.
Absolutely.
You had a hand in that.
Yeah, and one of my previous coaches used to say, luck is when opportunity meets hard work. So you put in the hard work, the opportunity will come. But you don't want the opportunity to come and you're not ready. You know, so you want to be ready, you want to have everything in place, so if the opportunity comes in, you're able to jump in. And there's so many more aspects to the story that not many people know about. That was the opportunity piece. The person that I run, my predecessor, she decided not to run again. Nobody knew that. You know, she decided she was not running again. So it created a window, but we have been preparing, and then suddenly that window opened up. And we were able to take advantage of that opportunity.
Now, it's not usual for every immigrant, or at least let me speak for Nigeria, it's not usual for everyone who comes from Nigeria to a predominantly white community for their first thought to be, I'm going to run. So what piqued your interest in politics in the first place? Why run?
So that's a great question. And I've had some time to think about it. Growing up, My grandma lived in Ibadan, in Amunigun, Ibadan area, and every summer we would stay in Ibadan for a few months with her. I didn't know grandma had a door in her house. The door was always wide open, and people used to come in and out. And she was like this community elder, you know, and a lot of people would come in, and she was either helping with family problems, or this one is fighting this one, or this one's husband is fighting and arguing with this one. She was constantly that person that people sought out. And as a child, seeing those things, I mean, I was playing ball and breaking people's windows half the time and getting in trouble. However, there were values that were being instilled. The importance of serving your community, the importance of looking out for people around you. My mother owned her own school. Until today, my brother still calls her Mother Teresa, because half the time, half the people couldn't pay their school fees, and my mom's response is, yeah, but are we going to allow them to be walking the streets without going to school? So half the students in her school did not have money to pay, the parents didn't have money. And it was the same exact thing. My mother had that mindset and that set of values to serve her community. So I think those things have been instilled in me over a period of time. And for me, this was just an opportunity to serve, but it was just in a different capacity.
What were some of the challenges you faced? I mean, we've gone through the fact that there were not a lot of people that looked like you. And so when you decided to run, what challenges did you face on the campaign trail?
First, we had no one that had experience on the team. We were all just a group of Nigerians that came together and said, let's do this. So we had no professional. In fact, I will say this, and I think this was interested 2 months ago, there's someone that's running for federal MP, and he sat me down. He said, who was your campaign manager? Because we would like to hire the person. And I laughed and I said, it was good, that was my campaign manager. And he didn't understand what I was saying. It's because none of us had the experience. I think we all just had the will and said, we're just going to make this thing happen. So no experience whatsoever. We didn't have any person that had a lot of money on the team either. So no experience. We didn't have the money to be able to do it. And I would say those were like the top two things. We had the people. We had the energy, we had the youthful energy, and we had people that are willing to just hit their head on walls half the time and try to figure it out as we go. And I think that overcame whatever challenges that were out there for us.
Wonderful. Now, it's interesting that you said they were mostly Nigerians, or all Nigerians coming out to support you, and these were your strategic managers, for lack of better words. Now, many Nigerians have this belief, oh, Nigerians don't support each other, Nigerians will not support you, but it was a different scenario you experienced in your case.
Absolutely, and I say this everywhere I go, let's stop saying we do not support one another. We can, we should, and amazing things happen when we do. 90% of my team were Nigerians. There were many that had just arrived from Nigeria a few months prior to helping me. In fact, one of the ladies that joined the team, she went for her driving test. She failed. I picked her up from there. We went door knocking for about 2-3 hours. She went back to take the driving test again the same day. Eventually passed the second time when she went. But it just showed there was just this desire to work together. To unify and to take this seriously. And we had pizza 2 weeks ago. We had a get together, you know, the people that supported me from 2 years back, and it was just a chance for me to give them an update on some of the accomplishments. I felt if they supported me, they had a right to hold me accountable and hear some of the things that we're doing and we're working on as a council. And I was informing them that we made news in Ireland. There was a newspaper article in Ireland about the win. We made news in Nigeria, in the major newspapers in Nigeria. We had a chance to speak to the leadership of the Nigerian government, the representative, as well. And all of that was not possible without them. So when we come together, nothing can stop us. We need the humility. we need the vision, we need that desire to work. I mean, we argued. I'm not saying we didn't argue. We disagreed. We had conversations till late at night where we were not on the same page, but we all made a decision that this one, we're working together. And I think that's the spirit that we need leaders that can do that. We need visionary leaders that can see things ahead. And we need people that can bring people together. I'm not saying I did all that. We have people on the team that were great at those things.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I know that when I read your bio, I saw something about you working with Fanboy. What was that about?
When I first came from Nigeria, I turned down a VP role at an organization in Nigeria. I started my own consulting firm before I came. So after arriving, I joined the consulting firm here, but it was entry level. I got fired from that job after 6 months because I wasn't performing well. And I eventually worked at Farmboy. I was the training coordinator at Farmboy. There is dignity in labor. I will put it that way. There is dignity in labor. Do what you gotta do to take care of your family. And that was what I did. I do remember there was a day one of the managers walked up to me and said, I see you working really hard, and I know this is not the place for you. You just keep doing you, keep working hard, and the right time will come, for some, God will make a way for you. And when I won council, interestingly, he also won council in his city.
Wow.
And he sent me a text and he's like, I told you. And it was such a beautiful come around story. I talk to people many times, and I don't like when someone says, and for now, I am doing this. What I've come to learn is maximize every opportunity wherever you are, maximize it. When I was in Nigeria, I worked at a radio station called Radio Continental. And I was a radio personality for 5 years. And I hated my job. I hated the job because it wasn't well paying, and I felt stuck. And here I am. I had gone to the US I was on a full scholarship in the US for school. I come back to Nigeria, and I'm working a job where I was making, I think it was 100,000 naira or something like that. And my colleagues were working in oil and gas and in banking, and I could not get in. Somehow I was stuck in radio. I thought it was cool when I first got in, and then 1 year in, I realized the salary was not enough. It wasn't cool anymore. And I couldn't use my degree to do anything at that point. By year 5, year 6, I just hated being there. But 10 years later, and this is like 2012, 2013, that time period, looking back, I'm so grateful to God that He put me in that position, because it helped me to hone my communication skills. I mean, here I am using the communication skills, having a conversation with all of you. I feel very comfortable here because I did this on radio for so long. On radio, you're by yourself. Here, I can see people and I can interact. On radio, it's worse. You're by yourself half the time. I remember I used to eat akara on radio because I wanted them to fire me. So I would be eating akara live on air, like, they should hear me and they should get rid of me. But somehow I felt it was just God. He knew I needed to be at that point, at that time, honing my skills and just working those things out. Because now I have to make speeches in 5 minutes or less. And they give me notes. I put the notes, and you give me notes. Notes for what? What do you want me to say? Okay, thank you. I'll say it. Why? Because on radio, they slide you notes, you read it, and then in 30 seconds, you got to formulate what you want to say in your head. I honed those skills over 5 years doing that. I didn't know it then. So maximize every opportunity. You never know where it's going to take you. You never know when you're going to need it. It might be building character. It might be building resilience. You might be building a particular skill set. Interestingly, when you mentioned Farm Boy, I learned opening and closing, what are those things called? I forgot what they're checklists. The different checklists that we had to go through at Farm Boy. My wife owns her own company, and she was struggling with some of her team members, and I was like, well, create this, this, and that. And she's like, what do you mean by that? Oh, this is how you do it. And I'm smiling and laughing. Here was I, Farm Boy, hated the job yet again. and going,
Learn
God,
some
why did you
skills."
put me here? But I learned some skills that have added value to her organization. So maximize every opportunity. You never know when you're going to need it. 10 years from now, 20 years from now.
Excellent, wonderful. What's next, Ayo? What's next for you?
Next is driving home from here.
No, not today. You know what I mean, come on.
Well,
What's next?
I always, whenever I'm asked that question, my response is always, my commitment today and now is to serve the people of Ward 5 as best as possible. Do the best that I can. The future will take care of itself. I don't know what the future holds, but the goal for now is do the best that I can, serve as best as I can, and if I do a good job, whatever is next, they'll be willing to support me.
Because people are watching, right?
Oh, they're watching my every
People
move.
notice.
They're watching my every move.
Well, I'm going to let you go, but I want our audience to hear something from you. What is something that no one knows about you? What's the funny thing, or what do you like to do for fun that will be so surprising to the audience?
That's a good question. Well, I used to lead the choir in the church. That's how I met my wife. My wife was in the choir, I was in the choir.
So you weren't singing really?
I was not singing. But that was, interestingly, that was where I had a chance to start honing my skills in terms of leading and strategy and speaking as well. Because the church will have me speak every now and then. So for all the young people, you're either playing the keyboard. I used to play the keyboard as well. You're either playing the keyboard in church or you're playing the drums and you're like, oh, this is boring, this is annoying. All of those things, they're going to help you one day in the future. You might not necessarily be leading a concert and playing a keyboard, but standing on stage and being comfortable could actually be what you gain from those years of experience. So yeah, that's one fun thing about that.
Wow.
Not my people now.
Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
And thank you for honoring our invitation to come today. We've learned quite a lot from you. I'm going to give you the last word. If there was a young person interested in politics today, what would your first advice be to them?
Surround yourself with mentors that believe in you. Find people that will believe in you. And that was one of the first things that I did. Once the idea came to my mind, back in 2016, 2017, I started reaching out to different people. Reach out to your mayor, reach out to MPs, MPPs, get a chance to meet them, talk to them. And over time, you will find the people that you connect with, people that you feel would believe in your cause. Okay? And then once you find those people, surround yourself with them. Ask them for books to read and things like that. And really push yourself. You'll be shocked 5 years from now when you look back how much you've grown over a period of time. And sometimes all it takes is someone saying, I'll be disappointed if you don't run, because there's no one better than you to run. And that's what you need sometimes to push you over the edge. So find those people in your life.
Absolutely. Well said. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.